I should have known something was wrong when Patrick started coming home smelling like cheap perfume and expensive whiskey at 2 in the morning. But you never really know, do you? Not until the moment it all breaks open like rotten fruit. That Friday night, I was standing in our kitchen, the one I'd painted myself in soft gray because Patrick said he hated the yellow, when I heard his truck pull up. It was 1:47 a.m. I'd checked my phone exactly 6 times in the past hour. The engine cut off, and I heard voices. Male voices, laughing that particular way drunk men laugh when they think they're kings of the world. I walked to the window and saw them. Patrick and 3 of his work buddies from the construction site, Tommy, the one going through his second divorce, Brett, who'd never been married because, as he liked to say, why buy the cow? And Steve, whose wife had just kicked him out last month. The 3 horsemen of midlife crisis. They were passing a bottle in brown paper between them, leaning against Patrick's truck like teenagers behind a 7-Eleven. Patrick's shirt was untucked, his hair messy. There was lipstick on his collar. I could see it even from 30 feet away under the streetlight, a bright red smear like a wound. I'd been his wife for 7 years. 7 years of packing his lunches, ironing his work shirts, pretending I didn't notice when our savings account got smaller and his excuses got bigger. 7 years of, I'm working late, and the guys needed help with something, and you're being paranoid, Kelly. But I wasn't paranoid. I was just stupid enough to keep believing him. The front door opened, and they stumbled in like they owned the place. Tommy knocked over the umbrella stand. Brett was laughing about something, showing Patrick a video on his phone. Steve went straight to our refrigerator and grabbed 4 beers without asking. Patrick, I said quietly, it's almost 2 in the morning. He looked at me like I was a stranger. No, worse, like I was a stranger he found annoying. So? So you said you'd be home by 11. You said it was just 1 drink after work? Tommy whistled low. Uh-oh, somebody's in trouble. Where were you? I kept my voice steady. 7 years of practice. Patrick cracked open the beer Steve tossed him. Out. Out where? Jesus Christ, Kelly. I was out, with the guys. What's the big deal? Brett was scrolling through his phone, barely paying attention. Dude, show her the picture from Mulligan's. She was all over you, man. My stomach dropped. Who was all over you? Patrick's jaw tightened. Nobody. Brett's drunk. Am not, Brett said, laughing. That little blonde bought you like 3 shots. What was her name? Ashley Amber? Shut up, Brett, Patrick said, but he was smiling. Actually smiling. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You were at Mulligan's? You said you were at Dave's house working on his deck. Plans changed, Patrick said with a shrug. And you didn't think to tell me? I don't have to report to you every 5 minutes. Tommy leaned against the counter, still nursing that bottle in the brown paper bag. Man, this is why I got divorced. Couldn't take a breath without Michelle asking where I was going. Exactly, Patrick said, pointing at Tommy like he'd just solved world hunger. It's suffocating. I stared at my husband, the man I'd married under an arbor of white roses, the man who'd cried when his mother died and I held him all night, the man who'd promised to love and cherish me until end do us part. I just wanted to know where you were, I said quietly. Is that really so terrible? Steve laughed. My ex used to pull the same guilt trip. Is it so terrible that I care? Yeah, actually it is when you do it every damn night. I don't do it every night, I said, but I was talking to Patrick now. Only Patrick. I barely see you anymore. You work late, you go out with them, you come home drunk. Oh, here we go, Patrick interrupted. He took a long drink from his beer. The lecture. The you're drinking too much speech. You are drinking too much. Look at yourself. I look fine. You have lipstick on your collar. Brett snorted. Busted. Patrick looked down at his shirt like he'd never seen it before. Then he looked back at me, and something in his eyes had changed, gone cold. So what? Some girl bumped into me at the bar. It doesn't mean anything. It means something to me. Well, maybe that's your problem, he said. The words came out hard and sharp. You make everything into some big drama. I can't even have a beer with my friends without you acting like I'm committing a crime. I'm not... Stop acting like you own me, Patrick snapped. His voice was louder now, filling the kitchen. You don't get to tell me where I go or who I'm with. Tommy and Brett and Steve were all watching now, their drunk faces split into identical smirks. They were enjoying this, getting off on it. Poor Patrick, stuck with the nagging wife. Poor Patrick, can't even be a man in his own house. Something inside me clicked into place, like a lock turning, like a door closing. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I could feel it stretching across my face, cold and sharp as a knife blade. "You're right," I said. My voice was calm now, eerily calm. "You're absolutely right, Patrick. You're free. You can go wherever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want." He blinked, confused. This wasn't how our fights usually went. Usually I cried. Usually I apologized. Usually I made it better. "You're free," I continued, "because we're done." The kitchen went quiet. Even Tommy stopped drinking. "What?" Patrick said. "We're done. Over. Finished." I kept smiling that cold smile. "You want to act single? Congratulations. You are." Brett laughed nervously. "Dude, she's bluffing." But Patrick was staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "Kelly?" "No." I held up one hand. "I'm done talking. I'm done waiting up. I'm done being the paranoid wife. You're free now, Patrick. Completely free." I walked past all four of them, grabbed my purse and my car keys from the hook by the door. Patrick called my name again, but I didn't stop. Didn't turn around, didn't give him the satisfaction. I got in my car and drove to my sister's house across town. It was after 2 a.m, but Rachel answered on the third knock, her hair in a messy ponytail and concern all over her face. "Kelly, what happened?" I told her everything while she made coffee. The late nights, the excuses, the lipstick, the 3 drunk idiots in my kitchen. Patrick's words. "You don't get to tell me where I go or who I'm with." Rachel listened quietly. When I finished, she said, "What do you need?" "Your couch for tonight, and your phone number for a locksmith." She smiled. My big sister, who'd been through her own divorce 3 years ago, who knew exactly what this felt like. "I've got both." By 7 a.m., I'd called Mike Henderson from Henderson's 24-hour locksmith. He was expensive, but he was fast, and he was discreet. I gave him the address and told him to change every lock in the house. Front door, back door, garage, even the side gate. "All of them?" he asked. "Every single one. You want the premium deadbolts, or I want whatever makes it so the old keys don't work anymore. I don't care what it costs." There was a pause. "Ma'am, is this a safety issue? Because if you're in danger, you should call the police." "I'm not in danger," I said. "I'm just taking out the trash." He was at the house by 8:30. Rachel drove me there while Patrick was at work. His truck was gone from the driveway, thank God. I didn't want to see him yet. Didn't trust what I might say or do. Mike worked fast. New locks on the front door, new locks on the back, new garage door opener, new gate latch. Everything was keyed differently now, fresh brass gleaming in the morning sun. While he worked, I went through the house like a tornado. All of Patrick's clothes, every last sock and t-shirt and pair of jeans, went into garbage bags. 15 bags total. I lined them up on the front lawn like body bags. His Xbox and his collection of vintage beer signs went into boxes. His fishing poles, his golf clubs, his gym bag with the shoes that smelled horrible. All of it out. Rachel helped without asking questions. That's what I loved about her. She just understood. "What about the wedding photos?" she asked, holding up the framed picture from our mantel. Patrick and me, 7 years younger, grinning like idiots who believed in forever. I looked at it for a long moment. Then I took it from her hands and dropped it in the trash. "What wedding photos?" By noon, the house was different. Cleaner, lighter, like I'd scraped off 7 years of mold and could finally breathe again. Mike finished up the last lock and handed me a set of shiny new keys. "All set, Mrs. Brennan. The old keys won't work anymore. Should I do anything with them?" I thought about it. Actually, yes. Leave them on the front step. I have a feeling someone's going to need them later. He looked confused, but did as I asked, setting Patrick's old house key, the one he'd carried for 7 years, right in the middle of the concrete step where he couldn't miss it. Before Mike left, I had one more request. "Do you know the Hendersons from 3 doors down?" "George and Rita? Sure, they're my second cousins." Of course they were. Small town. Everyone knew everyone. "Could you do me a favor? Could you stop by and tell Rita I'd like to talk to her when she has a minute?" Mike grinned. "I think I see where this is going. Rita loves a good neighborhood scandal." "It's not a scandal," I said sweetly. "It's just information." Rita Henderson was 72 years old and had lived on our street for 45 years. She knew everyone's business, and she wasn't shy about sharing it. If you wanted a message delivered to someone without actually talking to them yourself, Rita was better than certified mail. She showed up at my door within the hour, carrying a plate of cookies and a gleam in her eye. "Mike said you wanted to see me?" I invited her in and gave her the most heavily edited version of events. Patrick had been staying out late. I'd decided I needed space. We were taking a break. I didn't mention the lipstick or the drunk friends or the specific words that had broken everything. "I'm so sorry, dear," Rita said, patting my hand. "Marriage is hard. George and I have had our rough patches." "I know you have," I said. "That's actually why I wanted to talk to you. Patrick's going to come home tonight and find the locks changed. He's going to be confused and probably angry. If he comes to your door asking questions, I'd appreciate it if you could give him a message for me." Rita leaned forward, cookies forgotten. "What message?" I smiled. "Tell him that I know everything. Tell him the locks are changed because he's not welcome here anymore. Tell him he can collect his things from the front lawn, but he needs to do it quietly and respectfully. Tell him if he makes a scene or tries to break in, I'll call the police. And tell him—" I paused for effect. "Tell him his mother would be ashamed of him." Rita's eyes went wide. Patrick's mother had passed away 5 years ago. She'd been a stern woman, all Catholic guilt and high expectations. Patrick had worshipped her. "His mother?" Rita whispered. "She always told him to treat his wife like a queen," I said. "I don't think lipstick on the collar and coming home drunk at 2 a.m. counts as royal treatment, do you?" Rita shook her head slowly. "No, dear. No, I don't think it does." "So if he comes knocking, will you tell him?" She stood up, straightening her cardigan like she was preparing for battle. "Oh, I'll tell him. You can count on that." After Rita left, I went through the rest of the house methodically. I changed the Netflix password, changed the Amazon password, changed the Wi-Fi password to Single and Happy 77. Our address number? Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. I called our bank and set up a new checking account with only my name on it, transferred exactly half of our savings into it. I wasn't trying to steal from him. I just wanted what was mine. I called our insurance company and asked about separating our policies. I called our cell phone provider and removed him from the family plan. With every phone call, every password change, every legal separation of our lives, I felt stronger, like I was shedding skin, becoming someone new, someone who didn't wait up at night wondering where her husband was, someone who didn't make excuses for lipstick stains. Rachel stayed with me all afternoon. We ordered Thai food and ate it straight from the containers. We watched bad reality TV and laughed at other people's drama. We didn't talk about Patrick, didn't talk about what came next. Just existed in that strange liminal space between one life and another. Around 5 o'clock, my phone started ringing. Patrick's name lit up the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called again, and again, and again. Rachel watched me ignore each call. "You going to answer eventually?" "Nope." "He's going to lose his mind." "Good." The call stopped around 5:30. Then the text started. "Kelly, what the hell? Why aren't you answering? We need to talk. This is ridiculous. Call me back. I'm sorry about last night. The guys got me drunk. It won't happen again. Kelly, seriously. Call me." I read each one and deleted it. Didn't respond, didn't engage. Just watched them pile up like evidence in a trial. At 6:15 p.m., I got a text from Rachel. She'd gone home but was checking in. "You doing okay?" "I'm good," I typed back. "Weirdly good." "That's the freedom setting in. Enjoy it." I smiled at my phone. Then I heard it. A truck pulling into the driveway. Patrick's truck. I recognized the engine sound, the way he always gunned it a little before putting it in park. I stood at the window and watched him get out. He looked tired. His work clothes were dirty, his face unshaven. He walked up to the door, keys jangling in his hand. I watched him try to fit the key in the lock. Once, twice, 3 times. His face went from confused to frustrated to angry in about 30 seconds. He jiggled the handle, tried the key again, looked at the lock like it had personally betrayed him. Then he saw them. The garbage bags lined up on the lawn like soldiers. 15 black bags full of his entire life. "What the hell?" I heard him say through the window. He looked at the bags, looked at the door, looked at the lock. Then he started pounding. "Kelly! Kelly! Open this door." I stood very still, watching him through the window. Not moving, not responding, just watching. "Kelly, I know you're in there. Open the damn door." Pound, pound, pound. "This is my house too. You can't lock me out." Pound, pound, pound. "Kelly, this isn't funny. Open the door right now." I felt nothing. No guilt, no fear, no doubt. Just a strange, cold satisfaction. He pounded for another minute, then stopped. Pulled out his phone. My phone rang. I didn't answer. Patrick stood on the porch, staring at his phone like it might give him answers. Then he looked at the window, looked right at me. I didn't move, didn't flinch, just met his eyes through the glass and smiled that same cold smile from the night before. His face went white, then red, then purple. "You're crazy," he shouted. "You're actually crazy." I shrugged. He kicked one of the garbage bags. "This is insane. You can't just—" "Patrick?" Rita's voice cut through the yard. She'd come out of her house, right on cue. "Patrick, dear, could you keep it down? It's dinner time, and George is trying to watch Jeopardy." Patrick spun around. "Rita, my wife locked me out of my house." Rita nodded sympathetically. "Yes, dear, I know. She asked me to give you a message." "A message? What message?" Rita smiled sweetly. "She said to tell you that she knows everything, that the locks are changed because you're not welcome here anymore, that you can collect your things from the lawn, but you need to do it quietly and respectfully, that if you make a scene or try to break in, she'll call the police." Rita paused, letting it sink in. "And she said your mother would be ashamed of you." The color drained from Patrick's face. "My mother would be ashamed," Rita repeated gently. "Your mother was a lovely woman, Patrick. She raised you better than this. Lipstick on the collar? Coming home drunk at 2 a.m? That's not the man she raised." Patrick's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Who told you?" "Small town, dear," Rita said. "Now are you going to collect your things quietly, or do I need to call the police myself? Because I will. I have their number on speed dial." Patrick looked at Rita, looked at me through the window, looked at the 15 garbage bags on the lawn. Then finally, he started loading bags into his truck. It took him 20 minutes to get everything. He didn't say another word, didn't pound on the door again, just loaded bag after bag after bag, his face getting redder and redder with every trip. When the last bag was in, he stood by his truck and looked at the house one more time. Our house. The house where we'd planned to raise kids, where we'd talked about growing old together, where I'd wasted 7 years believing in a man who couldn't even make it home by midnight. Then he got in his truck and drove away. Rita waved to me from her porch. I waved back. And just like that, Patrick Brennan was gone from my life. The first week was strange. I kept expecting him to come back, to pound on the door again, apologize, beg for another chance. That's what happened in movies, right? The husband realizes what he lost and fights to get it back. But Patrick didn't come back. He called a few times, left voicemails that started angry and ended desperate. You can't just throw away 7 years over one stupid night, and I made a mistake, okay? Everyone makes mistakes. And finally, pathetically, "I love you, Kelly. Doesn't that mean anything?" I didn't respond to any of them. I'd learned a long time ago that silence was the most powerful response you could give someone who expected you to react. Instead, I focused on myself, started going to the gym again, something I'd stopped doing because Patrick always made comments about how long I was gone. Signed up for a pottery class on Thursday nights, called old friends I hadn't talked to in years because Patrick never liked them. Started sleeping in the middle of the bed instead of on my side. Rachel checked in every day. "How you holding up?" "I'm good," I'd say, and I meant it. But here's the thing about small towns. Everyone talks. And everyone knew someone who'd seen Patrick at Mulligan's or heard about the lockout or had an opinion about what I should or shouldn't have done. My coworker Diane cornered me by the coffee machine at the medical office where I worked as a billing specialist. "Kelly, I heard about you and Patrick. I'm so sorry." "Don't be," I said, pouring coffee. "I'm not." She lowered her voice. "Is it true you threw all his stuff on the lawn?" "In garbage bags, yes." Her eyes went wide. "And changed the locks while he was at work?" "Every single one." Diane looked like Christmas had come early. "Oh my God, you're my hero." Word spread fast after that. Suddenly I was the woman who'd kicked her husband out and didn't look back. Half the town thought I was a hero. The other half thought I was heartless. I didn't care what either half thought. 2 weeks after the lockout, I got a call from a lawyer named Catherine Price. She'd heard about my situation, because of course she had, and wanted to offer her services for the divorce. "I don't do amicable," she said on the phone. "I do fair, and from what I hear, fair is exactly what you need." I met her at her office downtown. Catherine was 50-something, with silver hair cut sharp as a blade and a handshake that could crack walnuts. She wore a burgundy suit and shoes that probably cost more than my car payment. "Tell me everything," she said, pulling out a legal pad. I told her, all of it. The late nights, the excuses, the lipstick, the drunk friends, the "you don't own me" speech. She took notes without interrupting, her face neutral. When I finished, she set down her pen. "What do you want out of this?" "The house," I said immediately. "I paid for most of it anyway. He can have his truck and his tools and his Xbox. I just want the house. Kids? No, thank God. Shared debts? Just the mortgage. Everything else is separate. Catherine nodded. This should be straightforward. Has he hired a lawyer? I don't know. He will. Men like Patrick always do, once they realize you're serious. She leaned back in her chair. But between you and me, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. You've been the primary breadwinner. I pulled your tax records. You've made consistent payments on the house while his income has been sporadic. And if we can prove infidelity, which seems likely given the lipstick situation, we can push for an even more favorable settlement. I don't want to drag this out, I said. I just want it done. Then we'll make it fast, Catherine said. I'll file this week. He'll get served within 10 days. And Kelly? She smiled, sharp as her haircut. Get ready for him to panic. She was right. Patrick was served the divorce papers on a Tuesday afternoon at the construction site. I know because Tommy called me, not Patrick, Tommy, screaming into the phone about how I was ruining his friend's life. You could have worked it out, Tommy yelled. You didn't have to do this. Is there a reason you're calling me, Tommy? I asked calmly. Patrick's a mess. He's drinking every night. He can't sleep. He's not my problem anymore. Jesus Christ, Kelly, you're cold. No, I said. I'm done. There's a difference. Tommy hung up on me. An hour later, Patrick called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Kelly. His voice was broken, rough, like he'd been crying or drinking or both. We got the papers. Good. Good? That's all you have to say? What else is there to say, Patrick? You're really doing this. You're really throwing away our marriage. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm not the one who threw it away. You did that when you decided staying out with your drunk friends was more important than coming home to your wife. It was one night. It was every night, Patrick. Every night for months. I just finally had enough. He was quiet for a long moment. What do you want? Money? The house? What do I have to do to fix this? Nothing, I said. There's nothing to fix. It's over. Kelly? Sign the papers, Patrick. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I hung up before he could respond. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the first time I met Patrick at a friend's barbecue 9 years ago. He'd been charming and funny and attentive. He'd brought me a beer without asking. He'd remembered my name. He'd asked me out before the night was over. For 2 years, we'd been perfect. He'd been perfect. Then we got married, and slowly, so slowly I didn't notice at first, things changed. He stopped asking about my day, stopped planning dates, stopped trying. I'd chalked it up to marriage being hard work, to life getting in the way, to needing to be more understanding. But understanding only goes so far when you're standing in your kitchen at 2 a.m., smelling perfume on your husband's clothes while his friends laugh at you. I got out of bed and went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of wine, stood at the window looking out at the empty street. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Can't sleep? How'd you know? I typed back. Sister sends. Want to talk? Not really, just thinking. About him? About me. About how I let it go on so long. You loved him. That's not a crime. I stared at those words for a long time. Then I typed, no, but it was stupid. Love makes us stupid sometimes. That's what makes us human. I smiled at the phone. When did you get so wise? When I divorced my own idiot husband. You learned things. We texted back and forth for another hour, about nothing and everything, about how weird it was to be alone after years of sharing space with someone, about how quiet the house felt, about how scary and exciting it was to start over. You're going to be okay, Rachel wrote finally. Better than okay. You're going to be great. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Patrick didn't sign the papers right away. Of course he didn't. That would have been too easy. Instead, he hired a lawyer, some guy named Mitchell from 2 towns over who specialized in men's rights and had terrible reviews online. They filed a response claiming I'd violated Patrick's rights by locking him out of his own home and demanding I pay him spousal support. Catherine called me laughing. Spousal support? He makes $12 an hour and you make $48,000 a year. What judge is going to order you to support him? Is he serious? I asked. Oh, he's serious. He's also delusional. This is a delay tactic, Kelly. He's hoping you'll get tired and agree to give him more just to make it go away. What do? We go to court and we destroy him, Catherine said cheerfully. I've got bank statements showing you paid for 90% of the household expenses. I've got testimony from your sister about his behavior. And if we really want to get nasty, I can subpoena his bar tabs for Mulligan's. Do it, I said. All of it. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, life went on. I threw myself into work, picking up extra shifts and taking on more responsibility. My boss, Dr. Hartman, noticed. Kelly, you're doing excellent work lately. Have you thought about taking the certification exam for medical office management? I hadn't, but suddenly it seemed like exactly what I needed. A goal, a future, something that was mine and mine alone. I'll look into it, I said. That weekend, I drove to the bookstore and bought every study guide I could find, set up a schedule, started studying 2 hours every night after dinner. It gave me something to focus on besides Patrick and the divorce and the emptiness of the house. Rachel came over most weekends. We'd cook dinner together and watch movies and not talk about our ex-husbands. It was nice, normal, the kind of thing I hadn't realized I was missing. One Saturday, she brought wine and a mischievous smile. I have gossip. About? Patrick. I paused. I don't want to? Yes, you do. Trust me. I sighed. Fine. What? Rachel poured us both generous glasses of wine. So my friend Julie, you remember Julie from my yoga class? Her cousin works at Mulligan's, and she told Julie that Patrick's been coming in 3-4 nights a week since you kicked him out. So? He always drank. Yeah, but now he's getting sloppy. Last week he got cut off and tried to fight the bouncer. Week before that, he hit on some woman and her boyfriend nearly punched him. He's a mess, Kelly. I should have felt something. Satisfaction, maybe, or concern. But I felt nothing. Just a vague awareness that the man I'd married was self-destructing and it wasn't my problem anymore. Good for him, I said flatly. Rachel studied my face. You really don't care, do you? Should I? Most people would feel something, even if it's just schadenfreude. I thought about it, tried to reach down inside myself for some emotion, any emotion, about Patrick's downward spiral, but there was nothing, just emptiness where he used to be. I think I used up all my feelings for him, I said finally. There's nothing left. Rachel clinked her glass against mine. That's called healing, little sister. The court date came faster than I expected. Catherine met me outside the courthouse, looking sharp in a navy suit. Ready? Ready. Patrick was already inside with Mitchell, his bargain basement lawyer. Patrick looked terrible. He'd lost weight. His suit, the same one he'd worn to his mother's funeral 5 years ago, hung off him like a scarecrow's clothes. His eyes were red-rimmed and hollow. For just a second, I felt a flicker of something. Not pity, exactly. More like remembering. Remembering the man he used to be before the drinking and the lying and the "you don't own me" speech. Then he looked at me, and his face hardened. Whatever he'd been before, he wasn't that man anymore. The hearing took 3 hours. Mitchell tried to argue that I'd illegally evicted Patrick, that I'd stolen marital assets, that I was vindictive and cruel and trying to destroy him financially. Catherine systematically dismantled every argument with bank statements, witness testimony, and a timeline of Patrick's behavior that painted him as an unemployed alcoholic with a girlfriend problem. Your Honor, Mitchell said desperately, my client has been a faithful husband for 7 years. Except for the lipstick on his collar, Catherine interrupted smoothly, and the multiple women at Mulligan's who've confirmed he's been hitting on them since the separation, and the fact that he came home drunk at 2 a.m. with 3 friends in tow and told his wife she didn't own him. The judge, a woman in her 60s with zero patience for nonsense, looked at Patrick over her glasses. Mr. Brennan, did you or did you not tell your wife that she didn't own you? Patrick shifted in his chair. I was drunk, Your Honor. I didn't mean... Did you say it? Yes. Then your wife was well within her rights to remove you from the marital home. The judge looked at Mitchell. Counselor, your client has no grounds for spousal support. Mrs. Brennan has documentation proving she was the primary breadwinner and that your client was engaging in behavior that contributed to the breakdown of the marriage. I'm ruling in favor of the petitioner. She banged her gavel. Just like that, it was over. Patrick got his truck, his tools, and his personal belongings. I got the house, my car, and my self-respect. The mortgage was in my name only from now on. He was ordered to remove himself from all shared accounts and policies within 30 days. Catherine shook my hand outside the courtroom. Congratulations. Clean break, no strings attached. You're officially free. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. Patrick was standing by his truck in the parking lot. Mitchell nowhere in sight. He looked at me across the asphalt, and I thought he might say something, might apologize or yell or do something, but he just got in his truck and drove away. That was the last time I saw him. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I passed the medical office management certification exam with a 92% score. Dr. Hartman promoted me immediately, with a $15,000 raise and my own office. "You've earned it," he said, shaking my hand. "Best thing that ever happened to this practice was you getting divorced." I laughed. It was true, in a weird way. The divorce had broken me open, but it had also set me free. Free to focus on my career, free to figure out who I was without Patrick, free to build a life that was actually mine. I redecorated the house. New paint, new furniture, new everything. Erased every trace of him until the house felt like mine and mine alone. Rachel helped, of course. We spent weekends at furniture stores and antique shops, slowly transforming the space into something that reflected me instead of us. "You should have a housewarming party," Rachel said, arranging throw pillows on my new couch. "Celebrate the new place." "It's not a new place. It's a new life. Same thing." So I threw a party, invited friends, co-workers, neighbors. Even Rita came, bringing cookies and gossip about the new family that moved into the house 3 doors down. The house filled with people and laughter and warmth. It was perfect. Everything Patrick and I had never been. Diane from work cornered me by the kitchen. "Kelly, you look amazing. You're glowing." "I feel amazing," I said. And it was true. "Have you heard about Patrick?" I tensed slightly. "No, and I don't really want to." Diane bit her lip. "I probably shouldn't say anything." "Then don't." But she couldn't help herself. "He's dating Ashley Carter, that bartender from Mulligan's, the one with the blonde hair." I felt nothing, just nodded. "Good for him." "You really don't care?" "I really don't care," I said, and I meant it. The party went late into the night. When everyone finally left and Rachel helped me clean up, I stood in my living room and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. "You did it," Rachel said, hugging me. "You really did it." "Did what?" "Got your life back." I hugged her tight. "We did it. I couldn't have done it without you." After she left, I walked through the house, turning off lights. My house, my furniture, my life. No one to answer to, no one to wait up for, no one to make excuses for, just me. And for the first time in 7 years, that was enough. 6 months passed, then a year. I threw myself into work, got another promotion, started making real money, bought new clothes, took a vacation to Colorado with Rachel, started dating casually but never seriously. I wasn't ready for serious. Maybe I'd never be ready again. And that was okay. I ran into Tommy once at the grocery store. He tried to duck down the cereal aisle when he saw me, but I caught him. "Tommy." He turned slowly, looking guilty. "Kelly, hey. How have you been?" "Good, good. You know, working." "That's good." We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then Tommy cleared his throat. "Listen, about that night at your place. I was drunk and stupid, and I should have—" "It's fine," I said. "Water under the bridge." He looked relieved. "Patrick talks about you sometimes, says he screwed up the best thing that ever happened to him." I felt that flicker again, but it was smaller now, dimmer. "How is he?" Tommy shrugged. "Drinking less, working more. Still with Ashley, but I don't think it's serious. He's, I don't know, sad, I guess." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "Yeah," I said finally. "I am. I don't wish him badly, Tommy. I just don't wish him at all anymore." Tommy nodded slowly. "That's fair. That's more than fair, actually." He paused. "For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Patrick was turning into someone none of us recognized. Maybe you kicking him out was the wake-up call he needed." "Maybe," I said. "But that's his journey now, not mine." We parted ways in the parking lot. I watched Tommy drive off, probably heading straight to tell Patrick about our conversation. Let him tell. I had nothing to hide and nothing to prove. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Patrick. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. A year ago, I would have ignored it. 6 months ago, I would have blocked it. But now, standing in my kitchen with a glass of wine and a life I'd built from scratch, I felt secure enough to respond. "About what?" I typed back. "About us, about what happened. I need to say some things." I could have said no, should have said no. But curiosity got the better of me. "Fine, coffee, tomorrow. The place on 5th Street, noon." "Thank you." I didn't respond to that. Rachel called while I was getting ready for bed. "Are you insane?" "Probably." "Kelly, you don't owe him anything, not even coffee." I know, but I want to hear what he has to say. Why? I thought about it. Closure, maybe? I don't know. Maybe I just want to see him one more time and confirm that leaving was the right choice. Rachel sighed. Fine. But I'm tracking your location, and if you're not out of there in an hour, I'm calling in the National Guard. I laughed. Deal. The coffee shop on 5th Street was busy at noon. Patrick was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking uncomfortable in a clean shirt and jeans. He'd gained back some of the weight he'd lost. His eyes were clearer. He looked better. Kelly, he said, standing up when he saw me. Thank you for coming. I have an hour, I said, sitting down. Then I have to get back to work. Right, of course. He sat back down, fidgeting with his coffee cup. You look good. Really good. Thanks. I heard you got promoted. Office manager now? How did you? Small town, he said with a weak smile. Everyone talks. Right. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. Patrick cleared his throat. I've been going to therapy since the divorce. Dr. Williams over on Oak Street. He's helping me work through some things. That's good, I said neutrally. Yeah, it is. He made me realize a lot of stuff about myself, about how I was treating you, about how I took you for granted. Patrick looked down at his coffee. I was an asshole, Kelly, a complete asshole, and I'm sorry. I waited. There had to be more. I blamed you for everything, he continued. When I felt trapped, when I felt like I wasn't in control of my life, I blamed you. But it wasn't you. It was me. I was scared of growing up, of being responsible, of being a real husband, so I acted out. Stayed out late, drank too much, flirted with other women, did everything I could to prove I was still young and free and not tied down. And how'd that work out for you? I asked. He laughed bitterly. Not great. I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. Lost the house, lost my self-respect, spent 6 months drinking myself stupid before I finally hit bottom and got help. I'm sorry you went through that. Don't be. I deserved it. Patrick finally looked at me, really looked at me. But I wanted to tell you face to face that I'm sorry, that you didn't deserve what I put you through, that you were right to kick me out and right to divorce me. I was a terrible husband, and you were amazing, patient and kind and way better than I deserved. I felt something crack in my chest, not my heart breaking, just softening. Thank you for saying that. I'm not asking for another chance, Patrick said quickly. I know that ship has sailed. I just needed you to know that I know I screwed up, that it wasn't your fault, that you did the right thing. We talked for another 40 minutes, not about getting back together or what-ifs or regrets, just about life. He told me about his therapy, about how he'd quit drinking, about how he was taking online classes to become a project manager. I told him about my promotion, about the house, about my trip to Colorado. It was strange, talking to him like this, like old friends instead of former spouses, like two people who'd shared a life and then moved on. When the hour was up, I stood to leave. Patrick stood too. Take care of yourself, Patrick, I said. You too, Kelly. He hesitated. For what it's worth, I hope you find someone who treats you the way you deserve. I already did, I said with a small smile. Me. I walked out of the coffee shop and got in my car, drove back to work, back to my office, my responsibilities, my life. Rachel texted, You alive? Alive, I typed back. And free. 2 years after the divorce, I met someone. His name was David, and he was a pharmaceutical rep who came by the medical office once a month. 38, divorced, no kids, with kind eyes and a sense of humor that made me laugh without trying too hard. He asked me out 3 times before I finally said yes. Not because I wasn't interested, but because I'd spent 2 years learning how to be alone and I wasn't sure I was ready to be with someone again. Our first date was dinner at a small Italian place downtown. We talked for 4 hours. He told me about his ex-wife who cheated on him with his best friend. I told him about Patrick, about the locks, about the neighbor and the garbage bags on the lawn. David laughed. You changed all the locks while he was at work? That's brilliant. Or crazy. Brilliantly crazy, he said. He had it coming. We dated slowly, carefully. David never pushed for more than I was ready to give. Never showed up drunk. Never made me feel like I needed to apologize for taking up space in the world. 6 months in, he met Rachel. They hit it off immediately. I approve, Rachel said after dinner at my place. He's good for you. You think? I know. You smile more when he's around. Real smiles, not those fake ones you used to give Patrick. A year into our relationship, David asked me to move in with him. I said no, Not because I didn't love him, but because I'd worked too hard to make my house my own. I wasn't ready to give that up. I understand, he said. No pressure. I just wanted you to know the offer's there. What if you moved in here instead? I asked. David looked surprised. Really? Really? If you want to. He wanted to. We combined our lives slowly, carefully. His furniture mixed with mine, his books on my shelves, his coffee in my kitchen. But it was different this time. Better. We made decisions together, split everything 50-50, communicated about the little things before they became big things. Rachel was thrilled. You deserve this, she said, hugging me at Christmas dinner. You deserve someone who sees you. I know, I said, and I did. I heard about Patrick occasionally through the small-town grapevine. He'd gotten sober, finished his online degree, started managing projects for a construction company in the next county. He and Ashley had broken up. He was single again, focusing on himself. Good for him, I thought, and meant it. 3 years after the divorce, I ran into Patrick at the grocery store. He was with a woman I didn't recognize, tall, brunette, laughing at something he'd said. They looked happy. Patrick saw me at the same moment I saw him. We both froze. Then he smiled. A real smile, not the angry or desperate ones from before. Kelly, hi. Hi, Patrick. This is Nicole, he said, gesturing to the woman beside him. Nicole, this is Kelly, my ex-wife. Nicole's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly. Nice to meet you. You too. We stood there for a moment, 3 people connected by history and divorce, and the strange way lives intersect and then diverge. You look happy, Patrick said finally. I am, I said. You too? Yeah. He glanced at Nicole, who was pretending to look at cereal boxes to give us space. I'm doing better. A lot better. I'm glad. I heard you're engaged, Patrick said. Congratulations. I looked down at my left hand, at the simple silver band David had given me 3 months ago. Thank you. He's lucky, Patrick said, and there was no bitterness in it, just truth. I'm lucky too, I said. We said goodbye and went our separate ways. Patrick and Nicole headed toward the frozen foods. I finished my shopping and went home. David was in the kitchen making dinner when I got back. How was the store? Fine. Ran into Patrick. David looked up. Yeah, how was that? Weird, but okay. He's with someone new. Seems happy. Good for him, David said, echoing my own thoughts from years ago. Yeah, I said. Good for him. That night, lying in bed next to David while he read a book and I scrolled through my phone, I thought about that Friday night 3 years ago. Patrick pounding on the locked door, the garbage bags on the lawn, Rita delivering her message like a avenging angel. I thought about how scared I'd been, how angry, how done, and I thought about everything that came after, the divorce, the promotions, the house that became mine, the peace I'd found in being alone, the love I'd found with someone who actually deserved it. What are you thinking about? David asked, setting down his book. The night I changed the locks, I said. Best decision you ever made? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Second best. What was the first? I rolled over and kissed him, saying yes when you asked me out. He smiled and kissed me back. I'm glad you finally did. Took you long enough? I needed time. I know, it was worth the wait. We fell asleep like that, tangled together in the house I'd fought for, in the life I'd built from the ashes of a marriage that never should have been. 4 months later, David and I got married in Rachel's backyard. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. No fancy dress, no expensive venue, no pretending to be something we weren't. Just 2 people who'd been through hell in different ways and found each other on the other side. During the reception, Rita Henderson cornered me by the cake table. She was 83 now, still sharp as a tack and twice as nosy. Kelly, dear, she said, patting my hand. I'm so happy for you. Thank you, Rita. You know, I ran into Patrick last month. He asked about you. I smiled. Did he? He wanted to know if you were happy. I told him you were deliriously happy. He seemed glad. Rita leaned in conspiratorially. Between you and me, I think he finally grew up. Only took him 3 years and a divorce. Better late than never, I said. Indeed. Rita squeezed my hand. I was proud of you that night, you know, when you changed the locks. Most women would have let him come crawling back, would have believed his apologies, but not you. You knew your worth. Someone taught me to stand up for myself, I said, looking at Rachel across the yard. She was laughing with David's sister, wine in hand, looking exactly like the big sister who'd saved my life. "That's what family is for," Rita said. "Now go dance with your husband before the cake melts." I found David by the makeshift dance floor. He held out his hand. "Dance with me, Mrs. Chen." "Mrs. Chen," I repeated, testing out the new name. I like the sound of that. We danced while the sun set over Rachel's backyard, surrounded by people who loved us, in a life I'd built by refusing to settle for less than I deserved. Somewhere across town, Patrick was probably doing the same thing, building a new life, learning from his mistakes, becoming a better version of himself. Good for him. But this moment, this man, this life, was all mine. And as David spun me around and I caught Rachel's eye across the yard, her grinning and giving me a thumbs up, I realized something. The best revenge wasn't anger or bitterness or making someone pay for hurting you. The best revenge was living well, and I was living better than I'd ever lived before. I'd taken back my house, my life, and my self-respect that night I changed the locks. I'd looked my husband in the eye and said, "We're done," and meant it. I'd survived the aftermath, the divorce, the rebuilding, and I'd come out the other side stronger, happier, and finally, truly free. Patrick had been right about one thing that night. I didn't own him, but I owned myself, and that was worth more than 7 years of a failing marriage could ever be.